and just looking at this up close. And then the very next pitch, right down the middle, ball. And then Jim Pitsley's head, like, kind of like, everybody what? Chanting his name. And I was just like, and then he's like, Andy, McClellan's behind me. I'm like a remote control catcher. Andy, go talk to him. Yeah, okay, time.
Yeah.
Go talk to, after a couple with your comments. And like I said, when you hear it from your peers and your teammates and your friends and guys that, share the same story. And I'm very proud of you as well and what you've accomplished. And thank you so much for thinking of me and having me on your show.
Absolutely. Well, that is Andy Stewart. You can definitely check out the show after you hear it this time. You can go to lesnorman.com and find out more information. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at LNorman22 is the place.
The Chiefs take on the 49ers tonight. Get ready to watch the NFL preseason kickoff for the Chiefs with full pregame coverage on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Beginning at 4 o'clock, Josh Briscoe will bring you all the latest interviews, breaking news, and pregame analysis. Get up to date with everything you need to know before watching this Super Bowl 54 rematch. It's all tonight beginning at 4 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Sports Talk powered by fans. Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. The power of sports.
America's largest all-sports radio station presents the #1 motorsports show for 2 decades. Track Talk, brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. Here are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning, race fans. Welcome to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I'm Scott Traylor. I'm at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville, Iowa. Straight across the track from the great world capital of racing, Knoxville Raceway. Kirk Elliott is back at Racing Boys HQ with Adam and Todd. Blake back at Sports Radio 810 WHB, taking care of the dials back there. Welcome to the show, everybody. We have got a Jim Dandy of a show for you today, folks. Let me tell you what we got going on for you. First, some of our guests that we're going to have on today. We're going to have Alan Reinhart on. We're going to be talking a little bit about NHRA drag racing, what's going on up at Heartland Park, Topeka this weekend. The big boys are there, and we're going to cover some of that as well as what's going on up here at Knoxville Raceway. Also, we're going to have Bob Baker on again. This is the last day to buy the Corvette, folks. If you want to put your money in and win you a brand new Corvette, mid-engine Corvette, one of the most desirable Corvettes in the world, you could do it today by entering. This is the last day that you have a chance to do that here at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. And a lot of people putting in a lot of money. This car has created a lot of interest. So we'll have Bob Baker on. Lee Spencer should join us in hour number 2 at some point. Plus, we got a lot of sound from what's been going on up here at Knoxville this week, folks. We've got David Gravel, Gio Scelzi, Donnie Schatz, Brian Brown, Kyle Larson, Brett Marks. We've got sound from all of those drivers that have all finished on the podium this week on the first 2 nights. And last night, Kirk, was the Hooligans race, basically, is what it was. And Rico Abreu looked pretty darn good, didn't he, buddy?
He did. He set quick time in the second group of time trials, finished third in his heat race, started outside front row of the main event, and won that. So doesn't get much better for Rico.
Not much better than that, right? Yeah, no, he had a great night. You could tell he's really focused. Could it be that he's having a little more luck because he cut off his mullet? That is the question of the day. Can Rico win without the mullet?
That doesn't affect anything. I don't
think. It could, Kirk. It could. You
it
never
affects
know.
his psyche in some fashion. That he's dropped the mullet, that he's back to,
he's
running up
he's
front.
Made a lot of money off of that mullet.
Well,
I know that.
But was it a distraction? Was it a distraction for Rico? Now that he's gotten rid of it, he's focused in on, and he's doing better.
It just seems like he's running a little bit better last night. Fast time. What was it? 18. race. I mean, a 15:87 or something like that. I think it was.
But it was like the 13th quick time overall, though. There was 12 drivers in the first group of time trials that were faster than Rico.
Right.
So there you go.
Don't ask me how all that works, but they have a formula up here, and it seems to work well. Kirk, last night, let me ask you this. They had that last race where the top 4 guys get in and make it in. And Jack Hodenshield was one of those 4 guys. And the crowd, this is obviously Jack's last hurrah here at the Knoxville Nationals. Do you think the crowd was going crazy for Jack Hodenshield to win last night, or at least make it into the A-main?
Well, they were hoping upon hope that he would make the transfer, but just couldn't quite make it. Brock Zierfoss got around him at the end. So, yeah, I mean, Jack's always been a popular driver. I mean, who's not a fan of Jack Hodenshield?
Well, listen, when they introduced him, the crowd went crazy.
Yeah.
They went absolutely crazy, and they want to support him. They wanted to see him get in his last attempt here at the Knoxville Nationals. But I think he come up 1 or 2 spots short, didn't he, Kirk, last night?
Yeah, he finished 6th last night. Brock Zierfoss able to make the run around him last night, his younger driver. And, Jack's not a young man anymore. That's why he's not going to be racing after this year. So, but he's always been very popular driver. And it's not surprised me at all that the fan would go wild to see. I mean, what a great story that would be if he were to make his, final Knoxville Nationals feature line. He never did win the Nationals before. But the thing I always remember about Jack Hodenshield, the wild child, I made a trip out to Eldora Speedway back in 2004, I believe it was. They had the $1 million non-wing race. Remember that? This $1 million purse?
Yeah,
paid $250,000 to win. My biggest memory of Jack Hodenshield. Went there to watch that race, and he won that night. And what a popular win that was. He's popular everywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm saddened that he didn't make it in last night. Scott Boguski got around him for 5th, by the way. But I think everybody would have loved to see Jack in the show tonight. But Phil,
Scott Boguski was roaring through the field last night.
Came from the 13th starting spot.
Yeah,
finished 5th. Yeah. 1 spot short. So
that was
you got Rico, Anthony Macri, Shane Stewart, and Brock Zierfoss, the 4 drivers that will start at the tail of tonight's main event.
Right. The last 4 guys. 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th. Those are the top 4 finishers from last night's A-main. They will tag the back of the field tonight. Now, Kirk, let me ask you about the other night. On the first night, our boy Blackjack Brian Brown, who we love dearly, he's one of our locals. So, I mean, it's hard not to root for Brian Brown when you live in the same town as that guy, right?
Right.
I mean, we live basically in the same town. And Kyle Larson started 21st in that A-main. Now, just think about this, folks. Kyle Larson starts 21st, and he runs 2nd. Now, listen, let's be fair. That there was a lot of wrecks at the start. What did they have, 4 restarts on that A-main, Kirk?
Yeah, and I was standing down in turns 1 and 2 of that big wreck. I'll talk about that in a moment. But the first big wreck that was scary was when Parker Price Miller jumped a wheel, I think it was TJ Stutz, and slammed head first into the turn 1 wall. I don't know about you, Scott, but that was a pretty frightening crash.
Did you see what it did to the wall?
I did not.
Kirk,
it couldn't have been. It was hard hit.
No, Kirk, it busted the railroad ties behind the wall.
Oh, my gosh. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bad deal. Luckily, he did not get hurt. That was
I was scared to death after that crash, Scott. I don't know about you, but that was a head-on crash that was as wicked as you'll ever see.
And it took him a while to get out of the car, which made it more scary.
Thank God Parker Price Miller was okay after that, because that was hard. Yeah. But the big wreck came right after that. I was standing down in turns 3 and 4 and had a bird's eye view of this incident when Carson Macedo clipped the inside berm, got sideways, washed up the track up, and collected Paul McMahon. And then we had a 6-car pileup. I saw Sammy Swindell flipping. I saw other car. I think there was like 6 cars involved. And here comes Kyle Larson. He had to start 21st, as we talked about. Somehow he snaked his way through all of that and cleared that, and left to now he's starting on the second row. He very easily could have got collected up in that, but that was as big a multi-car pileup as we've seen at Knoxville in quite a while.
As big as they get, yeah, for sure. They don't get any bigger than that. Well, all I know is that the scary part about that is when Paul McMahon's car caught on fire.
Yes, yeah,
and he bailed out of that car. But the problem is, for whatever reason, they still had to take him to the hospital to check out any burns. I didn't hear where he was burnt. They were talking to him last night on the PA here. I didn't get a chance to hear what he was saying. But, yeah, it was a scary, very scary deal. 2 or 3 cars getting upside down. Paul McMahon's car catching on fire. The great news is that when his car did catch on fire, they have the best safety crew in the world right here at Knoxville Raceway.
No question about it. They were on top of that. Those guys were out on the track even before the cars came to a rest. I mean, They were on Paul McMahon quick as can be. And thank God for the safety crew at Knoxville because I agree with you, Scott, they're the best in the world.
There's nobody better.
In dirt track racing.
I'm sorry. We go to a lot of great tracks. You know, Dirt Cup does a really good job with their crew up there. Jackson does a good job. Huset's does a great job with their crews, but it's second to none when it comes to Knoxville Raceway. And they did a fantastic job getting that fire snuffed out really quick.
And you know what? One of the most surprising things after that wreck, Sammy Swindell went to flipping. He got that car back in the race somehow.
He did.
He restarted that race.
Yeah.
He didn't finish, but that was amazing to me.
Sammy Swindell's 46th Knoxville Nationals.
One Knoxville National Championship for Sammy. Remember that?
Was that 80? Was it 83?
83, driving the old Milwaukee car for Raymond Beadle. Mm-hmm. Never will forget that. So, but his only Knoxville Nationals win. That's hard to believe.
Hey, listen, and he can still wheel a car, bud.
Oh, yeah.
Don't think he can't.
What is he, 65, 66 years old now?
65 years old and runs that car around there like he's a 40-year-old man.
I mean, let's face it, he's not quite as good as he used to be, but he's still not too bad.
He could beat the average man.
Yeah.
If you're average in a sprint car, Sammy Swindell will beat you.
That's right. But did anybody think, though, in that race that, Brian Brown was able to take the lead and, he's motored along, but here comes Kyle Larson up through there. I mean, did anybody think that Brown would be able to hold Kyle Larson off? I thought Brownie did a great job of maintaining
Brown,
position
I tell you where Brown really beat Larson is on the restarts.
Yeah.
He gapped him on the restarts, and then there was no chance that Kyle was going to catch him at that point. Brown did a magnificent job on the restarts of those. They had all that series of cautions there at the end. And once Larson got up to second, you think, "Oh gosh, this is not good for Brian Brown," right? Because we know what Larson does to people. But I'm going to tell you something about Brian Brown. You're not going to get in Brian Brown's head. Never. That guy is as solid as a rock when it comes between the ears when he's out there on that race car, especially at a track like Knoxville Raceway.
Yep.
Not many people have won as many races as Brian Brown at this racetrack. Not many people have as many laps as Brian Brown around this racetrack. And because of that, you're not going to get between Brian Brown's ears when you're out there racing with him. I don't care if you're Kyle Larson, Donnie Schatz, whoever it is. You're not going to get between his ears. He knows this track. He knows every inch of the track. He knows how the Duncans prepare the track. He knows how to roll the bottom as well as anybody, and he's working on that even more so now because Danny Lasoski's his crew chief, and who was the best at rolling the bottom at Knoxville Raceway? Danny Lasoski, the all-time winningest driver at this racetrack. So I think everything's coming together with Brownie and Danny. You know, we all know that they made the crew chief change over there here a few weeks ago, and it seems to be paying off. It didn't look so good for him in the 360, but the 410, it looks like he has enough speed to win this deal here tonight. He's got a tough assignment though. He's going to be starting ninth. It's going to be a little bit deep in the field. He'd probably like to be up in those first 2 or 3 rows in order to really feel confident that you have a chance to win this race. But starting ninth, and if you get a few cautions along the way, I mean, all you got to do is look at that other night with Kyle Larson. Started 21st. After the first lap, after those several cautions on the first lap, he was running 11th, right? That's all Brown needs. He needs a couple cautions with a couple of guys up in front of him to crash. He'll move his way right up through the field, and I think he'll be in contention before it's all said and done. Do you think Brown's got a chance tonight?
Absolutely. I mean, you got a 50-lap race with a halfway break in between. Yeah, he's got a chance at it.
For sure.
So it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out tonight. And, you know, that halfway break can change the complexion of the race quite a bit. We've seen over the years when Schatz was winning all those nationals that he was the one that took advantage of that halfway break more so than anybody else. So, Brown's got a good shot at winning it. This is not going to be easy. I think Kyle Larson is the man to beat based on what we've seen. But
I agree with that.
This is not a guarantee he's going to be able to pull this off. This is not going to be easy for Larson to pull this off.
No, it is not. No.
And another driver that's got a chance to, make something happen here is David Gravel, who won Wednesday night's preliminary feature event, taking the lead from Justin Henderson with about 4 laps to go.
David Gravel is always a contender. When was there a night that you haven't seen David Gravel towards the front?
Right.
Can't even think of it. Not even sure when that happens. So David Gravel, you always got to take as a serious contender. And listen, don't think that the guy that won the 360 Nationals, Gio Scelzi, is not going to be a player in this thing as well.
Right.
Gio runs the top as well around this place as anybody. He knows how to keep that car straight through the corners with very little wheel input. Keep an eye on Gio Scelzi. I would not be surprised to see him win tonight as well.
No question about it. He's got a real good shot at doing this. As you pointed out, He's rolling the top as well as anybody up there.
Yes.
And there's
sure.
And you can't count out Donnie Schatz. You just can't count him out. So
well, he is the greatest of all time, maybe.
Yeah. So
Steve Kinser's the greatest of all time. Donnie Schatz is second.
Yes, sir. Because Kinser won 12.
Then after that, it's a debate after the top 2, right?
Right.
We know that Steve Kinser's the man, the king. Donnie Schatz is the next man. And then there's a series of people that you could put in there. Doug Wolfgang. I think a lot of people would put in there as maybe the 3rd best driver ever. You know, Jan Opperman.
Sammy Swindell's up there.
Sammy Swindell's got to be up in there for sure. So, hey, Kirk, do you want to run a little sound here before we get to the bottom?
We got time. Let's hear from Brian Brown talking about his holding off of Kyle Larson on Thursday night. Brian Brown's got a new crew chief, as Scott pointed out, Danny Lasowski, and that's made a huge difference. But Brown had it all covered over Kyle Larson on Thursday night.
I honestly didn't think it was going to be as good a racing as it honestly was. And I wouldn't have been upset if they would have canceled it and ran it tomorrow, just because I didn't know how fair it was going to be. But, Duncan's work magic when you think they can't. He did a phenomenal job with the track, I feel like, for the hand that was dealt him. He can't just pull out his phone and create sunlight. And it's so late. So, And then I kind of just got overthinking myself a little bit early in the night. I kind of put the same setup that I broke the track record with early in the year, thinking it was going to be pure grip, and we made a lot of speed that way. And a hot lap, I just didn't feel that great. But once you kind of go down that road, you're kind of stuck with it. And I just spun my tires a little bit coming off both laps. And at that point, I was 8th, and I was actually hoping to be 11th, because 11th will actually put you on the 3rd row outside instead of on the inside of the 4th row. So once that happened, I didn't get a good start in the heat on the front stretch, and just kind of went 4 wheels above it to try to get going, and got by a couple. And then Actually, in 3 and 4, I thought I was going to maybe even get to second, and the 42 kind of got pushed up a little bit, and I got tight. And, at that point, there's a lot of good cars in my heat, so just don't do something stupid to run 5th. So that was that. And then the feature, I felt like I was pretty good. I just never felt like I couldn't get going very well. The inside row, Paul would get going, and he was kind of moving me up a little bit. And then Brent showed his nose a couple of times, and actually he was ahead of me at one time, that one of the reds or yellows or whatnot. So once we get out there in clean air, I felt like my car was pretty good. I knew I had these two guys here are probably the hardest runners in the country as far as, if anybody watches Brent in PA and wherever he runs hard in every single lap. And the GOAT, you guys know what he does. He wakes up running hard. So I knew those are the guys you're going to have to run probably a harder pace than I even I wanted to run, and I did it, and here we are.
Yeah, we need to mention, Scott, that it rained at about 4:30 in the afternoon for about 45 minutes and rained pretty hard. Then it quit. Mm-hmm. So it put everything behind about 2 hours. They didn't start hot laps till about 9 o'clock. And so the track obviously was going to be different than it was on Wednesday night. It was going to be heavy, but the Duncans did a great job of running that track in after that heavy rain shower that occurred late in the afternoon.
Well, let me tell you, Kirk, the Duncans are out there working on that racetrack right now. They've got it ripped open, and they're rolling in what's underneath, and they've got it opened up enough, and they're going to scrape it back out. Nobody does it better than the Duncans. They've been operating this racetrack forever. They have all the equipment that any man would ever need to operate a racetrack and get it into good racing conditions, and they are the very best at what they do. So it's always good when you know you come to Knoxville, you're going to get a good racetrack.
Hey, let's squeeze in one other soundbite. I know we got a break coming up here, but let's hear from Kyle Larson, his version of events, finishing second on Thursday night.
Yeah, a little bit. I was just trying way too hard there, but it was a solid race. I mean, I got extremely lucky, missing that big wreck and it, wiping out a lot of good cars in front of me, and you really only had to come from 10th there, so couldn't have worked out much better for me. Was a little bit nervous there, starting 21st. I thought, it was tough for Logan to get to, I think, 7th last night, and I felt like it would be even tougher for me tonight, but things were able to work out and wind up second and be pretty good in points, so really happy about it.
Hey, Larson mentioned the other driver that you need to keep an eye on, Logan Schuchart. You remember 2 years ago, he came from way back and he was a player there at the end of that race. So Logan Schuchart is a guy you want to keep an eye on tonight, the 1S car. Yeah, and he starts 8th tonight. Right. He'll be on the same row as Brian Brown. So Brian Brown and Logan Schuchart, keep an eye on those two. Casey Kane, driving the Beef Packers car, has done a really good job. He's going to be starting 7th. So a lot of good cars. Here, let me give you the top 10 that are going to be starting, then we'll go to break. Gio Scelzi on the pole, Brad Sweet 2nd, Kyle Larson 3rd, Brett Marks 4th, Donnie Schatz 5th, David Gravel 6th, Casey Kane 7th, Logan Schuchart 8th, Brian Brown 9th, and Ian Madsen rounds out the top 10. That's a pretty stellar field of cars starting in the top 10 here tonight at Knoxville. So it should be a really, really good race. Are you jacked about tonight's, Scott? I mean, I am so pumped about tonight's feature. Wow. Yeah, it's going to be really good. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to switch it up a little bit. It's a big weekend. The big boys are up at Heartland Park Topeka, up in at one of our favorite drag strips. And Alan Reinhart is going to join us, and we're going to be talking about NHRA next, right here on Track Talk.
Track Talk. As your power steering pump ages, seal leaks may occur, causing the power steering system to lose fluid. Your power steering system may also develop an annoying squeal, and the steering may become more difficult to handle. By using Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak, you will stop the seal leaks, reduce slack in rack and pinion, eliminate the squeals and hard spots in your power steering system. It is guaranteed to stop seal leaks or your money back. Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak. It works.
In these trying times, Kansas City Credit Union knows how important cash flow is in your household. With rates near all-time lows, now's the time to take action. Free up some cash by lowering your monthly car loan payment when you refinance your auto loan with Kansas City Credit Union. And as a bonus, Kansas City Credit Union will delay your payments for 90 days. Visit kansascitycreditunion.com/810sports for more information. Kansas City Credit Union, your path to financial freedom.
Hey, Kansas City, Stephen St. John here on behalf of the coolest people I know, Window Nation. It's probably time for some new windows. Window Nation windows will help keep out the scorching temperatures while also blocking the sun's damaging UV rays to protect your floors, furniture, and valuables. While everyone is enduring milestone summer heat, Window Nation is marking another milestone year with anniversary celebration savings. That's why, for a limited time, get 2 windows free for every 2 you buy and pay nothing for 24 months. Window Nation has expertly installed over 1 million high-quality, airtight, custom-fit, energy-efficient windows. Call today and get 2 free windows with any 2 you buy. There's no limit. Plus, put no money down, pay no interest, and make no payments for 2 full years. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. Just make the call and you'll get it all. 866-90-NATION or online at windownation.com and tell them Stephen St. John sent you.
The Chiefs take on the 49ers tonight. Get ready to watch the NFL preseason kickoff for the Chiefs with full pregame coverage on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Beginning at 4 o'clock, Josh Briscoe will bring you all the latest interviews, breaking news, and pregame analysis. Get up to date with everything you need to know before watching this Super Bowl 54 rematch. It's all tonight beginning at 4 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Track Talk.
Welcome back to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We're going to switch it up a little bit. We know it's a big weekend up here at Knoxville Raceway. I'm at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. Kirk Elliott back at Racing Boys HQ. We're Todd Surprise, Adam Bartman, Blake back at Sports Radio 810 WHB, helping us on the first hour. Well, let's talk about the Menards Nationals presented by Pet Armor. It's up at Heartland Park, Topeka this weekend, and who better to talk about it than Alan Reinhart, who joins us now on the show. Alan, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. You know, if you want to talk about Knoxville, we can do that too.
I know it's pretty easy to do, but you know we got to give a fair shake. You know, it bothers Kirk and I because we're big NHRA fans, and no bigger fans of Top Fuel Racing than ourselves. And we've been going to the NHRA Summer Nationals since they were back at KCIR back in the day, back in the 70s. I've been going since then. And it means a lot to me personally to go to the NHRA Nationals. It kind of bums us out that it's on the same weekend as the Knoxville Nationals, but we're going to make it work. I'm going to be up there on Sunday. I can't wait to get up there. Talk about the conditions and how qualifying went, and give us a rundown on some of the speeds that we saw this weekend at Heartland Park.
Well, the conditions are looking pretty good right now. You know, it's been very hot in Kansas all week. I was actually in Great Bend last weekend for a regional event out there and then just hung out in the state for the week. But the temperatures dropped about 15 degrees overnight between Thursday night and Friday. So yesterday was very comfortable. The rest of the weekend looks the same, and that's good for performance. We had a couple of funny cars last night over 332 miles an hour in qualifying. So it looks like, you know, this track has always been magic for the nitro cars for whatever reason. And since Mother Nature decided to cool it off a few degrees here coming into the race weekend, it looks like it's going to be another good one.
Hey, Alan, we all remember, you know, this has been a great track for funny cars historically. 1993. Never will forget
I was
it. You were there. Chuck Etchells was the first down in the 4-second club. They had this deal between oil companies. At that time, John Force was driving Castrol car, and you had I think Kendall's car, and Castrol put up a whole bunch of money for that. And the other oil company won. Chuck Etchells got. I remember the look on John Force's face after that happened. I never will forget it. Probably the most disappointed he's ever been in his entire life. He didn't get the first ever 4-second run. And back that time, they were racing on the quarter mile. And then we also had the first ever 300-mile-an-hour run in a funny car by Jim Epler on Sunday of that weekend, as I recall.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, the 4-second funny car run was interesting because the conditions were there, and I think everybody knew it was going to happen. John Force was absolutely positive that he was going to be the first one, and because the way the run order is scripted, he was running very early in the session, so he was going to have the first shot at it. And kind of a backstory, I don't know how many people know this, but he convinced Castrol to put up the $25,000 and told John Howell of Castrol, if I don't win, I'll pay half. We need to do this. And then John came up, did a burnout, and had a brake caliper fail on his car and never got to make the run. They had to shut it off because obviously he's not going to try to go that fast without brakes. So John never made the run and then sat there on the sidelines and watched as Chuck Etchels won $12,500 of John Force's money and $12,500 of Castrol's money.
Well, you know, stories like that is what legends are made of, right? You think about that, and you think about John Force and all the great things that he's done. He's been in our studio several times with us, and just, I mean, he has to be the greatest ambassador of all time for drag racing, John Force.
I think everybody would agree with that. And, you know, at 72 years old, he's still not just an ambassador. He's still a competitor. He's still driving. Right. He's still racing. He came in yesterday, just typical John Force, right? This could only happen to John. Flying into Kansas City on Thursday night, there's a hailstorm. They get diverted to Tulsa. Everybody's diverted. There's no hotel rooms. And so he ends up in an Uber and walking down a sidewalk and getting in some sketchy neighborhood where he's like, oh, this is the place to be. And, you know, the way he tells the story, like lucky to get out with his life, and then makes it out here to Topeka and puts down a nice run last night in qualifying. He actually ended up in the number 6 spot yesterday.
Yeah, he had a great run. Hey, by the way, hailstorms. Why is it every time you come to Topeka we got tornadoes and hailstorms to dot the weekend? It seems like that happens a lot.
You know, you're not kidding. We were here one time a couple of years ago when we had a number of rental cars that got totaled because the hailstorm was so bad. I was trying to get out of the racetrack, got back to the hotel, and, you know, drivers are pulling up under the overpass to just escape from it. Well, once that parking lot's full, there's no place to go. And I'm sitting in my rental car out in the middle of the highway, not moving because the whole thing is a parking lot. I put my sunglasses on. The guy sitting in the car next to me looked at me and he said, "Are you stupid?" And I said, "When that windshield falls in my lap, I don't want it in my eyes." And he said, "No, that's not a bad idea." And I'm telling you what, 30 seconds later, the windshield basically imploded from the hailstorm out there in the car. But, yeah, for some reason, NHRA, people have said from time to time, stands for Next Heavy Rain Area. So, maybe it just comes with the hail.
We don't have to worry. I don't think we got anything to worry about the rest of the weekend. It looks pretty good, doesn't it?
No, it looks great. The forecast right now is terrific. And as I mentioned, it was real hot all week coming into this, but it cooled off about 15 degrees coming into the race weekend. So we're very grateful for that.
Let's talk about the season in NHRA, some of the key players, and how we're looking in the points championship run, and tell us what we're up against when the fans come up there so they can kind of have a vision of what they're looking at this weekend up at Heartland Park, Topeka.
Well, even if you're a real casual fan of NHRA, right now, if you bet on one of the Capco cars in Top Fuel, yeah, it's a pretty good bet. We're 10 races into the season, and between the two Capco cars, they've won 7 of them. And that, of course, Steve Torrance, who is the reigning champion, has now won 3 straight. His dad, Billy, who doesn't race Top Fuel on a full-time basis, but when he comes out, his car is just as good as Steve's. Leah Pruitt won the last race. Her car is certainly starting to come around. There's Antron Brown is always going to be a player in the category, so there's a lot going on there. Funny car is probably the most wide open of all. I believe the top 6 funny cars in the points right now are within 56 points. And for reference, that's less than 3 rounds of competition. Ron Capps, when he won Pomona, our last stop on tour, went from 5th to 1st in the points just because he won 1 race.
Billy Torrance, the 2 Torrances were in the finals, as I recall, when you were last here over 2 years ago. And Steve beat his dad in the final, and Billy had the top qualifying time and speed last night. And you say he doesn't come out all the time, but Billy Torrance has done well here the last couple of starts at Heartland.
Yeah, he does. This has been a favorite racetrack for him, and not just in Top Fuel. The story at the Torrance camp is that Mama Kay owns the race team. That's Billy's wife, Steve's mother. So Steve gets to race full-time, and Billy gets to race whenever Mama Kay says it's okay for him to go out and race because she's the team owner. But when we were out in California a few weeks ago, we were racing at Sears Point, Sonoma, California. Steve was there with the Top Fuel car taking the win, and Billy was here at Heartland Park. He's got a Super Comp car that he comes out and races from time to time, and he came out here and won in his Super Comp car. So this racetrack, for whatever reason, has always been kind of nice to him. And, of course, last night in Top Fuel, Billy Torrance was the number one qualifier. He had 3.71 seconds at 322 miles an hour.
J.R. Todd is the top in funny car, as we said here. He laid down a heck of a lap last night, 3.884. I think the track record was like 4 thousandths of a second off that, if I look right, wasn't it? That was pretty close.
Yeah, he made a great run last night, and big speed as well, 332 miles an hour. Now, we're a long ways from the track speed record out here because back in the magical days, the funny cars with their headers laid back and operating as jet thrusters, we saw 338 miles an hour here. But for whatever reason, this has always been a magical place for funny cars, and you mentioned all the way back to the early 1990s.
We also remember some top speeds in Top Fuel back then too. That same event, 1993. That's got to be it was the greatest drag race I ever attended. Certainly the most memorable. Scott Coletta laid down a heck of a lap, which he was always so good at Heartland. He won 6 times there, which is amazing with Dick LaHaye there turning the wrenches. Those guys really had that track mastered back in the middle 90s.
Yeah, they did. And, one of Scott Coletta's greatest feats here was when he went, I can't remember exactly what year it was, but in the final round, he went 308 miles an hour to beat Corey Mack when that was unheard of. Corey just had the quickest, fastest car, and everybody going into the final knew that, Corey Mack's going to be the one leaving here with the trophy. And Scott Coletta threw down on him and took it home that day. But, yeah, for whatever reason, but this track has always been good. I mean, you think all the way back to Gary Ormsby running 288 miles an hour here when everybody's eyebrows went up, and it's like, what? Nobody's ever done that before. That just since they built this place, it has really, really been special.
Yeah, I remember that. It's smooth. It's still a pretty smooth racetrack, is it not? They say it is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they resurfaced it, what's it been now? It's probably been 7 or 8 years ago. And still one of the smoothest on tour. It's all concrete. It was laser ground, so not a whole lot of bumps, not a lot of imperfections. And one thing you can always say when you come into Heartland Motorsports Park, if your driver says I had the bad lane, he's making stuff up because this place is great on both sides of the racetrack. There are certainly a few places where we go where lane choice is critical, but here at Heartland Motorsports Park, both lanes are great, and if you can't win, it's your fault.
Yeah, we're visiting with Alan Reinhart from NHRA. Alan, it seems like over the years, Heartland Park Topeka has been one of those racetracks to where a lot of storylines come out of, a lot of drama comes out. It seems like over the years that we've had a lot of drama at Heartland Park.
You're right, and just and again, for whatever reason, maybe some of it is because of where it is in the season. It's always been at a place in the season where you come out, you get started, everybody kind of gets in a rhythm, and then you start seeing trends. And we come in here to, and I don't mean to correct you, but it's now Heartland Motorsports Park, not Heartland Park Topeka.
Old habits die hard.
Listen, it is tough for me as a guy that's been covering that racetrack for 22 years or however long it's been. It's just hard for me to shake it.
You know what? I called Englishtown the Summer Nationals until the end of time because Englishtown for the longest time was the Summer Nationals, but I get yelled at if I get it wrong. So I just want to make sure.
Boy, we miss E-Town too. Don't we?
And we do the same with I-70 Motorsports Park.
Same owner too. It's I-70 Motorsports Park. So don't you forget it.
Listen, I-70 Speedway will always be I-70 Speedway to me. I'm sorry.
I completely understand.
Chris Payne's done a great job.
He has done a great job. Yep, for sure.
One of the other really special things about coming here, there's a lot of venues that we go to, maybe because there's bigger cities and bigger corporate or bigger footprint. That we're just one of the things in town, and nobody pays a lot of attention. And you get a lot of, are the races in town this week? Yeah, okay, so what? But Topeka, the whole city really embraces when NHRA comes to town. I don't care if I go to Burger King or if I go to Walgreens or if I go to Walmart. Somebody says, "Hey, are you here for the races? Are you with one of the teams? What are you?" And because the city just embraces NHRA when we come to town, and that makes it extra special to come to this part of the country. And I think that's one more thing that just makes this race special is because the city really embraces us whenever we come into town.
Well, I can't think of a bigger event that ever comes to Topeka all year long.
I'm not going to argue with you.
It is.
Well, there was a time when the runoffs were there. They're not quite as big as the Summer Nationals are, but
well, there was a time back in the day when some of the NASCAR stuff was coming here, and there was certainly been other big events here, but we've been doing it for a long time on a regular basis, and from day one, the city has always welcomed us with open arms.
Yeah, I never will forget the
nobody packs men more at Heartland Park than NHRA. Nobody.
We do our best.
I never will forget the very first event there, 1989. It was Dick LaHaye beating Shirley Muldowney in the Top Fuel final. Never will forget that. That was a huge event.
I think that was the only event that I wasn't at. I was not touring with NHRA at that point in time, but I think I've been to every one of them since then.
Yeah. Hey, so what's the schedule today? When are we going to see the Nitro cars out there today?
Well, we're actually racing right now. The Lucas Oil Series, the Sportsman cars are out there running in eliminations right now. Later on this afternoon, Pro Stock is going to hit the track at 2:30, followed by the Nitro cars. Top Fuel went first yesterday. Funny Car will go first today. That starts at 3 o'clock. And then they'll run final qualifying to set the field, and that starts with Pro Stock at 5:30, followed by the Nitro cars at 6 p.m. So there's plenty of time if you want to come out and join us this afternoon or this evening and catch some 330-mile-an-hour action. We'd love to have you.
And get there early tomorrow because eliminations start at 11 a.m., right?
Yeah, that's correct. And, our pre-race ceremonies will take place about 10 a.m. or so. There's, lots to do. One of my favorite things about the racetrack is coming in Sunday morning. Because when the people are unloading race cars and getting ready to go, everybody's planning to have a long day. It doesn't matter if you set the track record or if you just barely squeaked your way onto the qualifying sheet. You're getting your car unloaded. You're anticipating a long day. It's really kind of a special part of the day before anything really gets going. And it's one of my favorite parts of the weekend is to come out early on race day.
I agree with that 100%. Can't wait to get out there tomorrow.
Yeah, that's going to be a good time. Yeah, we'll be there tomorrow for sure. Alan, thanks so much for taking the time to join us. We love NHRA. It's one of our favorite things to cover. And if you're a fan, folks, and you've never been to a Top Fuel event, it's a must-see event. You have to go out there and experience the sensation of the horsepower from these nitro cars. You think you've heard loud cars in the past or cars that will give you a concussion off your chest. Nothing like what you'll see out at Heartland Motorsports Park. I'm trying to get it right. I'm working on it.
I understand. You definitely feel it. One thing, just real quick, I'm sure you guys know this, but I'm not sure how many of your listeners made the connection. On the pole tonight at the Knoxville Nationals is Gio Scelzi.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Whose dad, Gary, is a 4-time NHRA champion, 3 times in Top Fuel, 1 time in Funny Car. So all of us drag racers tonight, whether we're sprint car fans or not, we're all going to be watching Knoxville, and we're all pulling for Gio.
Well, listen, we're really good friends. I've been to Gary Scelzi's house, and I've hung out with Gary Scelzi many a nights, and he's a great man and great ambassador to NHRA and sprint car racing now, and his sons are fantastic sprint car drivers, and we get a chance to hang around with him quite a bit. He's a remarkable guy and one of the great ambassadors of NHRA.
I agree with you completely. And all of the straight line world tonight is going to be paying attention to Knoxville, and we are rooting on Gio.
Well, I think Gio could actually do that. We talked about this a little bit earlier, Alan. Gio can win this race.
No doubt.
I agree. I mean, he has been on a hot streak as of late. The kid's he's got talent running out of his ears, and he's coming in with high confidence right now. So, letting him start up front's not a bad place.
He has been the best at rolling the top that I've seen here in the last 2 weeks. So if that means anything to you, if everybody dives to the bottom and Gio can run that line that he's been running at the top, he's got a chance for sure. All right. Thanks again, Alan. We appreciate your time.
Hey, thank you guys for having me on. I look forward to seeing you out here Sunday.
Now you're back to work, right? Back on the PA right away.
You got it.
Thanks, Alan. Great job.
All right. Thanks, Alan.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, more of Track Talk. It's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products, made in America, sold to the world.
break.
With its dedication.
Hey soccer fans, Allie Trost here, letting you know that KC NWSL is back home this weekend taking on OL Reign at Legends Field, and you can enjoy the game alongside the best fans in the NWSL by visiting kcwoso.com/tickets to purchase yours today. Be a part of the iconic Sea of Teal at Legends Stadium this Saturday at 7 p.m. as KC NWSL takes on OL Reign. Tickets are available at kcwoso.com/tickets, and prices start at just $17. And don't forget, you can hear the game on ESPN KC.
The Kansas City Comets are back in action for a preseason exhibition match on Saturday night, August 21st at 6 p.m. at Cable Dahmer Arena against the Omaha Kings FC. Kansas City Comets soccer is fast, furious, high-scoring action for the entire family, and parking is always free at Cable Dahmer Arena. All seats for this special match are just $14. You can get your tickets today by calling 888-9-COMETS or by visiting Ticketmaster.com. Get your first peek at the 2021-22 Comets when they take on the Omaha Kings FC on Saturday night, August 21st.
Welcome back to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I'm Scott Traylor, live in the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame Museum. Bob Baker, our friend, is joining us here tonight. And Bob, we're in the final stretch of action here for the 410 Nationals here this weekend. And I got to ask you, out of all the stuff that we saw the other night when we saw those wrecks on the first lap, this old fly, just get out of here, it'd be nice. That was pretty intense stuff, wasn't it?
Yes, there were a lot of accidents here the other night, and we hate to see that. It costs a lot of money, and we don't want to see anybody get hurt. And fortunately, all the drivers, were able to walk away all right, but had a fire, had lots of, really intense accidents that we don't like to see around the racetrack. So just thankful everybody, walked away and was going to be able to come back and race again.
That Parker Price Miller where he hit the wall over there was pretty vicious as well. Took him a little while to get out of the car. We was glad to see that. Guy Forbrook probably not too happy about it. That car was probably wadded up pretty good. It broke the railroad ties behind the guardrail.
A similar accident the other night at the end of the front straightaway. The driver of the Black Pearl, Kel Thomas from Maryland, something broke on the front end, and he came across the berm and hit that guardrail at the end of the front straightaway on the inside, and it just rocked that race car. I mean, he was visibly shaken when he got out, but he was able to walk away. It's just they're going so fast, it's when they do stop, it really takes a toll on the drivers.
Yeah. Bob, today is the final day. If you want to get involved, folks, and have a chance to win the new Corvette that's down in the lobby here at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame Museum, you better get in today because today is the final day.
Right. We stop taking donations tonight at 9 o'clock, and we announce our winner tonight at 10 o'clock, right before the A feature rolls out on the front straightaway in Victory Lane. If anybody's interested to get in and get a chance to win that Corvette, it's a brand new Elkhart Lake Blue Metallic 2021 Z51 Corvette. And all you have to do is go to winaz51corvette.com on your smartphone, your tablet, your computer, and that'll take you right to the site and walk you through making a donation to help our museum and give yourself a chance to win a beautiful car.
Bob, is this the most desirable car when it comes to the response from the people that want to purchase, take a chance at winning a drawing like this? Has this car been the most popular of all of them?
The blue one that we have right now, I think has been the most popular. And I say that because we've received the most phone calls, the most donations. The Torch Red that we had the last 2 years, we had Torch Red Corvettes, and they did very, very well for us. But this one has surpassed what we did with the last two Corvettes. The bright blue color really looks nice in our lobby in the window. And it is hard to find 3LT, a top-of-the-line Z51 Corvette, the C8 mid-engine car. It's hard to find those. So when we got this, it was sticker priced at $80,000, and people have told us they're going for $95,000 to $100,000 if you can find one. a lot of the dealers didn't get an allocation, or they've used their allocation and sold it. So we're very fortunate to have the car, and we're looking forward to giving it away tonight, and hopefully, be somebody here in attendance at the racetrack, but whoever wins it's going to have a wonderful car.
Well, I know one thing. Every time I look up prices of these cars, people are buying them for about $90,000, and then they're turning around and trying to sell them for $110,000, $115,000. So, folks, this car is as desirable as any Corvette that maybe has ever been built, maybe with the exception of the 63 split window. This is the most desirable car I think Chevrolet has ever made.
We have a lot of people that come into the museum just to look at the C8 Corvette, the mid-engine car, to see the engine behind the driver's compartment, and to take a look and read all the options and everything that go with the car. It really is an amazing vehicle.
I noticed the other night down on the stage you were handing out the National Sprint Car Pole Awards, and I saw that Kyle Larson was up there. Talk about a little bit of some of the awards that you handed out the other night.
Well, every year we do our Sprint Car Pole Awards, and we do those for the 410 Sprint Car Division, the 360 Sprint Car Division, and also the non-wing division. And last year was the first year in the history of our Pole Awards that any one person made a clean sweep, and that was Kyle Larson. He won the Driver of the Year Award, he won the Team of the Year Award, the Wild Card Award, and the Outstanding Contribution to the Sport of Sprint Car Racing Award, which is voted on by the 360 voters, the non-wing voters, and the 410 wing sprint car voters. So it's quite an honor to get that Outstanding Contribution to the Sport Award, the Thomas J. Schmay Award, and to have all those voters vote on it. It's the builders in sprint car racing, the manufacturers, the promoters, the media members, the sanctioning bodies, people that work for the sanctioning groups that vote on that. So it's not really a popularity contest, but it's voted on by the people in the industry, your peers, that vote to give you those awards. So Kyle was very honored, and Paul Silva came up and accepted with the crew for the Crew of the Year Award for the team. And Kyle was very happy.
Yeah. Well, I know Kirk and I received that same award for 360 Media of the Year Award in 2009. It's the greatest accomplishment of our career, I would say, to be recognized by the peers that live around the country. What is there, 70 some people?
The voters on the Pole Awards are upwards of 68 voters that vote on those. So the National Induction Committee that votes on our Hall of Fame inductions, we have 72 voters across the country for that as well.
Yeah. Well, it's always a great time here. Now, before we let you go here, quickly, let's talk about the sprint car giveaway, that beautiful Triple X chassis that you've got outside.
We just rolled it out about 5 minutes ago. It's parked in front of the museum. It's red, white, and black, number 14, because it'll be the 14th car that we'll have given away. We do the drawing for the sprint car in December of 2022. We give the sprint car away every other year, and we just got this car. It will have a Jamie Moyle 410 racing engine. And to let the race fans listening to know about the parts and how hard it is to get some of these race engine parts, we had to order the block in February of this year to get it delivered in April of next year to put the engine together. So when the winner of the sprint car picks up that car, when they get the car, they get a freshly dynoed 410 engine. It's a brand new engine. We put a plastic block in the car right now to take it around the country so that whoever wins it when we give it away gets a brand new fresh engine. So it's a beautiful race car. It's got state-of-the-art parts on it. The Willwood brakes that are on it have just come out, so there's just a few of the teams that have those right now. The safety equipment that's on the car is the top-of-the-line safety equipment. And believe me, all the builders and manufacturers in this country for sprint car racing take a lot of pride in that car. When they see it here at Knoxville, they come and they take pictures. When they see it at the PRI trade show, they bring their employees over. They bring their, companies over, everybody they bring over to show off their parts on the car and show them this is what it looks like on a real race car. And so it's a real point of pride for the builders and manufacturers that donate all the parts for the race car. We couldn't do it without their help.
And finally, before we let you go, I got to talk again. You have 12 former Knoxville National winning cars down in the Hall of Fame right now.
It is, and it's being from Kansas City, I'm real proud to say that the first one we have is the 1965 Knoxville National winner, Pappy Weld's car that Kenny Weld drove to the 65 Nationals, the old super modified number 94. Everybody around the Kansas City area watched race at Marshall, I-70, Speedway, Olympic, Riverside, Lakeside, the fairgrounds in Sedalia, Topeka. The car, we had documented, I think, 19 drivers at one time that drove the race car. Greg told me that his dad thought it was the best race car. If you didn't win in it, he'd fire you. He goes, he fired me a couple times and fired Kenny a couple times. Ricky Weld got fired a couple times, but Pappy was very proud of the race car, and we're real happy to have it in our museum as one of the 12 Knoxville National winning cars. And as we talked before we went on the air, nobody from Knoxville or nobody from Iowa has ever won the Knoxville Nationals. So that's quite a feat after 59 years. Tonight will be the 60th running of the Nationals, to think that nobody from Iowa has ever won.
Wow. Bob, thanks for always inviting us up here to the Hall of Fame. We're up against the top of the hour. It's always a pleasure, and looking forward to doing it for years to come.
Thank you and Kurt for having me on the show. Hope we all get to see a great Nationals tonight.
All right. There you have it. That's Bob Baker from the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum. We love doing our show up here, Kirk, as usual, and we'll be doing hour number 2, which is coming up here in just a little bit, right?
Yeah, and I want to make mention before we get to the top of the hour here, for especially those who are listening here on Sports Radio 810, we've had some sad news this week. First of all, on Monday, we lost Bob Jenkins to brain cancer at the age of 73, one of the great motorsports announcers of all motorsports, and
2 minutes.
Sad to miss him. And also, we just learned the news on Thursday, Carla Lane, who was such a big part of the Carb Hall of Fame. We got that news that she lost her life suddenly due to cardiac arrest on Thursday, and her services will be Tuesday morning at the Elmwood Chapel in Kansas City, Missouri. We'll give you more details of that coming up. We'll post that as well. She was such she was such a big part of the Carb Hall of Fame, and both of us have had the pleasure of emceeing that thing a number of years. But Carla was such a big part of that, and all the best to, of course, Bobby, her husband. So many years, Bobby, one of the great racers in the Kansas City area. We're thinking about you, man. That's tough.
And we'll be doing their broadcast again with the Hall of Fame.
October 2nd. October 2nd.
Hey, and I got to give a big shout out. Deidre's Aunt June passed away while we were up here in Knoxville. Unfortunately, COVID is the reason that she passed away. So another friend of the Racing Boys passing away from COVID. I know. Say what you want. It's your choice. You can do whatever you want. I don't care what you do. It's your body. You can do what you want. But my choice was to get the vaccine, and I did it because I'm an old dude, and I don't want anything to happen to me.
So who's going to win tonight, Scott?
I'm going to pick. Gosh, how do you pick against Kyle Larson?
How do you do it?
How do you pick against him?
So
no, you know what? I'm going to take Brian Brown to win.
I'm going to go 15. with Gio Celsi. How about that?
Gio Celsi. All right. Todd, who are you going with?
He's busy, right? He didn't hear what you said.
Okay. All right.
He don't know.
Winner tonight, Bob.
I've got to go with Kyle Larson.
He's going with Kyle Larson as well. All right, folks. Don't forget, hour number 2 coming up. You can watch it exclusively on our Facebook page, YouTube, Twitter, and RacingBoys.com. For Kirk Elliott, Todd Surprise, Adam Bartlett, and Blake back at Sports Radio 810. I'm Scott Traylor saying thanks for joining us. We'll see you right around the corner.
So you think I'm crazy? Want to take me away?
Now more than ever, if you own or operate a medical facility,
that was a great
need
show,
Walker
fellas.
Medical Linen Service. They provide everything your medical facility needs.
I didn't know. Did you guys hear my countdown? 2 minutes, 1 minute.
With large hospital groups, surgery centers, medical clinics, and one-of-a-kind specialty medical spas.
No, you're all good. I just replayed it again, so it wasn't a big deal.
We appreciate it.
Thank you much, man.
Have a good week, brother. Y'all have a real good one.
The highest accreditation for a medical laundry.
The deal with them was that anytime I wanted to quit doing it, they would pick it up.
Taking care of your car is a responsibility. It ensures the long life of your car and its expensive components. That's why Lucas Oil takes automotive protection so seriously. Lucas heavy-duty oil stabilizer bonds with motor oil to shield engines from heat and wear. So take pride in caring for your car and pass that pride and knowledge to the next generation for years of smooth, reliable driving on the long road ahead. Trust Lucas Oil. It works.
reasons for poor vehicle performance is a dirty fuel system. It can cause decreased fuel economy and actually do harm to your engine over time. By adding Lucas Fuel Treatment to your vehicle, it cleans and lubricates the entire fuel system. Pump, carburetors, fuel injectors, and valves as you drive. It also improves your vehicle's performance. It's a non-solvent product designed to protect both gasoline and diesel engines. Lucas Fuel Treatment. It works.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Sure, especially sportswear in-house. We do all of the screen printing, all the embroidery. We do some vinyl. The other add specialty items like your pens, magnets, notepads, calendars. You can actually buy that, build your business to make it larger. We have the largest screen printing process and the largest embroidery anywhere around in the area. We can do stuff all the way from your school clubs to sports teams, a professional look in the office. If you can imagine it, we can do it for you.
There is less than 1/100th of an inch of motor oil protecting your car's engine. Friction and heat causes engine oil to experience thermal breakdown, weakening its ability to protect the engine and its parts. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer is specially formulated to resist thermal breakdown, protect vital engine parts, and extend the life of your engine. It also stops smoking, knocking, and oil consumption in worn engines. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer. Keep that engine alive.
Alumatech Products is the premier aluminum cabinet company as well as custom aluminum trailer manufacturer. They specialize in custom cabinetry and production units. All the cabinets are built in-house by exceptional craftsmen. Alumatech Products also offer truck caps that are built from the ground up, starting with a framework all the way to a complete build. The folks at Alumatech are driven to produce quality, long-lasting products through innovative design to best suit you. For more information, go to alumatechproducts.com.
Wake up. All right. Top of the hour.
3 9-hole courses.
Do whatever you can to get that thing ready, okay?
In the Osage River Valley.
All right, bye.
Stay and play packages in our first-class condos. A beautiful clubhouse complete with pro shop and exercise facilities. A large pool for relaxation and families. The Eagle View Sports Bar and Grill. Great wedding facilities. Go online and make your tee time today.
Race fans, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is open 7 days a week, year-round, for you to come in and check out all of the wonderful race cars on display in the museum. And our online store at sprintcarstuff.com is open 24 hours a day for you to check out everything that we have in stock for sprint car fans. Whether it's for a birthday, anniversary, or Christmas, SprintCarStuff.com has it all. That's at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
We not only look to the future, we design it. Our excellence and professionalism in craftsmanship, quality, and safety is unmatched in the industry. We are proud suppliers to some of the most elite race teams in the world. We build it, you drive it. We are here to help you win.
Next to your vehicle's engine, your transmission is the most important component of your car. If it's not properly maintained, your car may not shift properly. By adding Lucas Transmission Fix to your transmission, it cleans and lubricates sticking valves for proper shifting, renews worn bands to stop slipping, stops seal leaks, will not void new car warranties, contains no harmful solvents, Lucas Transmission Fix. It works.
Hey, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and you're listening to Racing Boys, and if you ain't listening to them, you get out of the country because you're a communist. I love the Racing Boys. Like Mater says, they make me happier than a tornado in a trailer park. You know the funny thing about that is the Larry voice and the Mater voice are exactly the same. Get her done!
Welcome to Hour 2 of Track Talk on the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. Made in America, sold to the world. Here again are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Hey, welcome back. It's hour number 2 of Track Talk here on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. I'm Scott Traylor. I'm at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum on the second floor. One of my favorite places to do any remote is right here on this floor, Kirk. And I have to chuckle here just a little bit, Kirk. And, you know, they have a 5K run here at Knoxville on Saturday mornings, right? And our old buddy Steve Post, you know how he always posts up pictures of him out doing 5Ks and whatnot, running. You know you familiar with that, Kirk?
Yes, I've seen that before. I saw Steve the other night over there. Had a nice visit with him. Good guy.
Anyway, well, Steve was lagging behind and he was walking.
Oh, no way. Oh,
Yes.
my gosh.
He's 3/4 back on the field, and he is walking and talking on his phone as we speak.
Does he not think people are watching? Hey, Steve,
Well,
we're looking
I
at you.
knocked on the window to get him to look up here, but he never did see me.
Oh, that is too funny. Steve's got the long hair, the postman. So if anybody, you know, people who watch online here see, every Saturday morning see him in the background.
I think he's,
on,
I think he's a little
BAM
bit
TV.
like Todd. I
Yeah,
think he's a little bit
a lot like Todd.
He wants to be a rock star.
Who wants to be a rock star?
You want to be a rock star.
You want to be a rock star.
I don't want to be. I think I am.
You are a rock star in your mind.
You got to play in a band before you're a rock star, Todd.
I've been in bands many times. I just I choose not.
Are you
to be
playing
in
now?
I'm in my house jamming every day, recording music every day. That makes me
But are you a star? You know you're a artist maybe, but are you a star?
I don't know what star means, but I know when I wake up, I'm a rock and roll guitar player. That's who I am when I wake up in the morning.
That's who you are.
I've got
man.
30 or 40 guitars in my house. That's more things than I have of anything else in my house. So that makes me that makes me a guitar player.
I guess you know what I tell people. I tell people I play the drums. I'm not a drummer.
Yeah, you're a pretty good drummer.
That's all I do. I just play the drums. I'm not a drummer. But, you know, Deidre's been listening to me enough now that she told me the other day, maybe my favorite compliment from Deidre. She said, you know, you're good enough to play in any local band. And she started a lot of local bands in her day, right? She said, you know, you could play in a local band. You're good enough.
The drums?
And I thought, yeah, and that was the first time anybody told me that I was good enough to play in a local band. But I've never played with a band.
That's a different gig.
That's quite a statement.
Todd and I came close to playing together one time. We had the guitar and the
Had
amp
everything
and the
together.
drums all in one place, but we just never did it, did we?
Nope. Got to get that click track going in your head and get that time.
Boy, that really fed your ego when she told you that.
Hey, Todd.
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows, Todd's buying my motorcycle from me.
Yes, sir.
And I'm, you know what, Todd? You better not get hurt on that thing, or I'm gonna be really pissed.
Me too.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, you wouldn't
Me too.
like it either, would you?
I would not like that at all if you got hurt on that motorcycle. Because hey, listen, that's a real motorcycle, bud.
Yep.
That baby is, and it will pull the bars out from under your hands. I guarantee you. You throttle up on that thing, it will jerk the bar right out of your hand.
Be careful, Todd.
My throttle up days have long gone.
It's a great putting bike, though.
That's me. I want to go
I
around.
mean, it's a great.
be loud.
To be honest with you, Todd, you know, I've been looking at taking the money from the Harley to buy a Corvette.
I got you at 94. I know where 94 one is right now. With 60.
You know how I think. You know how I know.
One owner.
How much?
I don't know. I could talk to you on off the air about that. But
Yeah.
my they tried to buy it for my son. No.
What year is it?
90. What did I say? 96? Is that what 96 with 60,000 miles with one owner. But the only problem is it's yellow. That's the only problem. It's yellow.
Yeah, I know it. Yellow's hard to sell.
It is hard to sell. That's exactly right.
You know how I know that
be opposed to that if it has black interior.
Well, that's the thing. I think it does that. And my stepdad actually thought that he brought the idea. We can get this for Zach. And I said, "Are you kidding me? I couldn't even
a Corvette
at the age of 25. I couldn't still afford the insurance on the Corvette. I could afford the car payment, but I couldn't afford the insurance payment."
Grandpa was going to pay for that.
I said, "Grandpa, if you buy him the Corvette, you get to pay the taxes, the tags, and the tickets."
That CTS isn't going to be much cheaper, though.
No, actually, it didn't too bad though, because it's a real safe car. So insurance-wise, it's really good on the insurance, and it's a V6, so it isn't like it's a V8, where you're throwing inventory.
Right.
And it isn't fiberglass.
Hey, Todd, you know how I know that you're going to be very careful riding that motorcycle is you got too many games to watch Zach play.
That's right.
Yeah, you don't want to miss those.
No, it's not the person riding the bike.
It's everybody
else. Driving around the bike.
Yeah.
This is what you got to watch.
People know me, though. They know how I drive, where I drive. I'm more of a neighborhood cruiser, and I get, I don't go. I'm not a big long cruiser guy. I'm in the neighborhoods and come through Piper and stuff.
You'll drive it to Lakeside Speedway.
I drive it to Lakeside. Drive it to kids, out there at the park.
Todd, I might get me another bike. You never know.
Never know. Well, I'm going to have this other. I'm going to have two bikes now. So, because I don't think nobody really wants to buy them. If anybody's looking for a decent little bike, I've got a little bike.
Sell that in Europe.
Yep.
Sell that in Europe.
You can turn around and sell this bad boy in Europe because apparently they're big money over there overseas. Anything under 550 cc's in European countries, you get a tax break on. So my bike's pretty sought after in the Ukraine, is what I hear.
Hey, Kirk.
Yep.
How many people do you think will be rooting for Carson Macedo tonight? Kyle on our chat room says that I think Carson Macedo is going to make some moves tonight.
Well, he could. He swept the Outlaws weekend back in June, but I think that incident the other night really set him back. It's going to be really hard for him to recover from that.
I hate to say this because I really like Carson Macedo. I think he's a very talented driver. I like the car that he's driving in, obviously. But that was a pretty bonehead move he made down there, jumping that berm down there and flying into, who was it that he ran into the other night?
Paul McMahon.
Paul McMahon, that's right. His excuse for that move was that the hole closed up quicker than he thought. But, man, I mean, he just bonsai'd the inside berm down there getting into turn one. And it just threw the car through the air and threw him right into Paul McMahon. And that's where all that wreck happened.
Yeah, I was watching that.
If he can flush that out of his mind, I think Carson Macedo's got a chance.
I was down there close to where that happened. And because I didn't see the TV replay of it either, but I watched him interview Sammy down there after he crawled out of the car.
Sammy wasn't too was he?
I have no idea what Sammy said, but based on the motions of his arm, based on the motions of his arms and his body language and the way he was talking, he wasn't having too many good things to say about what occurred there.
It's so funny. If you remember what happened down there at Devil's Bowl earlier in the year in the Spring Nationals when we were down there doing our live broadcast at Devil's Bowl.
Yeah.
You remember when he got in that vicious wreck? Oh, that was a horrifying wreck that they got together. Remember he did a bonsai move to the inside, ran over the other car. I can't remember what the other driver's name was now. And a near fight ensued after that. I mean, they were ready to jump on Sammy. They felt it was all Sammy's fault. And then Sammy just got out and lit everybody up, right? He just
yeah, I remember watching that. That was something else.
I've been doing this for 51 years, that kind of thing that he said. And I think Sammy just enjoys rattling these guys nowadays. I think the older he gets, oh gosh, I don't want to say this, but it's true. The older you get, the grumpier you get.
Yeah, I can attest to that. I'm about Sammy's age. He's slightly older than me, but not by
You're
not much.
kind of grumpy.
I get
Kurt.
grumpy too when I see track operators dragging the show out till all hours of the night, and intermissions that last for an hour, and things of that nature. I get pretty grumpy when I see stuff like that. The older I get, the worse I get. I'll admit that.
You are a little more grumpy than you used to be, Kurt.
Well, doesn't that happen
Why
when you
is
get
it?
older? I don't know.
I'm trying to be less grumpy.
I don't
That's
know.
what I'm trying.
I hate hour-long intermissions when they don't do anything. And, let's get it on. Let's go. Let's get it going. Let's get out of here at a decent hour. We had a little bit of that last night, to be right honest with you, out at Sweetwater Speedway. Long intermission.
I want to know. I want to talk to Nina Jeniton. I know she's listening to the show right now. She says, "I have my tickets.
Oh boy,
I need that for Ayrton's birthday on Monday. Well, happy birthday, Ayrton." I didn't see what happened to him last night. They said that they thought the frame rail, something had given up in the rear end of his car. Let me tell you something about Ayrton Jeniton. The old apple didn't fall far from the tree with that kid. That kid is figuring it out, man. When Ayrton Jeniton gets out on the racetrack, I pay attention. He's one of those kind of guys that seems to really, the light bulb is really coming on now, man. I mean, he's really figuring it out, what it takes to run up front. And it is exciting to watch him race. And every time I see that 3-car pull out on the racetrack, I think, boy, his grandpa sure be proud of him, man. He is a gasser.
He's got to start 15th in tonight's B main. So that's what he's got to come. They transfer top 4 out of the B to the A. So.
And how many laps, Kirk?
22 laps in the B main tonight. So he's got time to work his way. It's going to be hard. You got Josh Boffman, Carson Macedo, Cy Lynch, Spencer Baston, Corey Eliason, Craig Kinzer, all starting ahead of him. Kerry Madsen Kerry Madsen's guy you want to watch out for in the B main. He starts back in like 7th spot in that B, so he's got to work his way up there. But Carson Macedo you're talking about, the best he can start in tonight's A main is 17th. He starts outside the front row of tonight's B feature, so it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to shake out. If you look down through the field, some of the guys that didn't have good experiences during the qualifying nights got to come back. C main's got a lot of good drivers.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see the alphabet soup roll tonight.
Yeah. Hey, I want to give a little shout out to Harley White last night.
Oh,
made
man.
It into the, man,
How about a run she made?
She really sucked it up and made
Yeah.
it happen there at the end of that last challenge race that we had there and cracked into the top 5. Did she run 2nd or 3rd? I think she had to run in the top 4, and I believe she ran like 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, I mean, she made a big move up through there last night. I mean, she
working
came
the
up,
bottom hard, man.
Yeah.
She did a great job.
Yeah, she finished. She started in 8th and finished 2nd behind Sammy in that second B main. So good run for her. She made a late charge up there to get the transfer spot.
Stephen Trout said, not rooting for Carson Macedo at all. No matter what he says, that was a bonehead move. I agree with you.
Well, it was a pretty scary crash. Man,
I think every driver that's ever raced has made some bonehead moves, though, right?
And when you're sitting close to where that happened and the sound of the crunching metal and just the sound of that was something you don't
The
see
fire
very
was
often.
the scariest part.
Yeah, and then when that Paul McMahon's car caught fire as quick as it did. It's been a while since we've seen a multi-car crash like that at Knoxville or anywhere for that matter. I mean, that was almost one for the ages right there. And the crazy part about it, here comes the 57 car, Kyle Larson. I have no idea how he avoided that. Because, I mean, everybody.
Did you hear what he said, his comments after that race?
Yeah.
He said he putted through there. He idled through
He
there.
did. He slowed way down, braked it, and just found a way through there.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, he was just lucky, really, because he found an opening to get through there, but he very easily could. And, matter of fact, when I first saw it, I thought maybe he did get clipped. And then I saw the replay up on the big screen down there and saw that he did somehow manage to make it through there, which was a big deal because if he gets caught up in that thing, he ain't sitting in the second row of the A main tonight.
No, not for sure. But I will say that I was really pulling for Jack Hodgshield.
Yeah,
last night
everybody was. Everybody was pulling for him. So, and that's
and you felt bad because you could see his car was going away last night as that run went on.
Yeah. He ended up in sixth place in the main event.
And wasn't it Austin McCarl that went out last night, Kirk?
Yeah.
And he tore up his car, went in. They put a new nose wing on, I believe it was, right?
Right.
He came back out, and on the next lap, he flipped it.
Yeah, he did. But he got himself in a transfer spot in that fifth heat race last night. He got around Jacob Allen to get the transfer spot into the A main, Carson McCarl did. But then after that, it didn't turn out so good for him in the A main.
I got to give a shout out to one of the Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour regulars, not driving his car, the 25 car.
Scott
Boguski ran fifth last night. He was very close to getting up there into a transfer spot, showing a lot of speed in that car. The Australian driver is doing a great job. A lot of 410 experience. I know a lot of people think of him as a national tour guy, but man, he's got a ton of experience in 410s. And he thinks he's a better 410 driver than he is a 360 driver. And he was kind of showing that last night a little bit.
Hey, we got some more sound we didn't get to play in the first hour from Wednesday night. Let's hear from David Gravel, who took the lead with about 4 laps to go from Justin Henderson. It looks like Justin Henderson was going to be able to pull off that win on Wednesday night, but he faded there towards the end. David Gravel was able to get around him and win the Wednesday night preliminary feature.
Yeah, Cody told me to try to run the bottom 1 and 2 on that caution, and I was a little nervous because Gio's good at running the top. So I felt like if I missed the bottom, he might have passed me, and I kind of broke my momentum a little bit early on that restart, let Justin get away. But car felt good everywhere, but I felt like the pace is real fast, that it was kind of hard to complete the exit on the bottom. I just think you can hold her wide open, kind of plug your right front in the grip and roll around there. So I'll go back and watch the tape and see what I need to do a little bit better and go from there.
Well, he used to drive that 41 car that Carson Macedo's in now, but he's gone over driving that for Todd Quiring, and he's doing pretty well in that ride right now. So David Gravel, certainly a player to get this done. He won the Nationals 2 years ago, as you recall, in that 41 car, but now he's driving the number 2 car. I
thought the chemistry was really good with the 41 team and David Gravel. I thought they might stick together a little bit longer than they did, but for whatever reason, and there's a lot of deals that go on behind them. Certain people bring certain things, certain sponsorships, certain motor programs to the table, and you never know what that entailed. And if that was the reason that David Gravel is out, Carson Macedo is in.
Gio Scelzi, we talked a lot about him this morning, ends up in second place behind David Gravel on Wednesday night. Let's hear from him.
Yeah, I think so. Anytime you roll into Harrison, nerve-wracking, and Adam pulled a good number, which kind of helped it. You can almost make a mistake qualifying and still be okay because the track's so fast still. And I think we qualified good. Like you said, the track is normally narrow Wednesday night in the heat races, and it was actually pretty wide tonight. I felt like I said, the track was really, really good, and you could race on it, bottom, top. He made the bottom work, and we kind of ran the middle and the top. So it is definitely rewarding and relieving, too, I think, all in one. So now I get 2 days off to just think about it, and overthink everything is what I'm pretty good at.
Well, don't overthink it too much, Gio. You got it figured out up on that high side there. I would stick with that game plan if I were you. You agree, Scott?
Yeah, I think if he can, if there's something to get a hold of up there at the top, where he can stick his right front in there and just run through that. Listen, nobody has went through the corners better than Gio at the top. Not that I've seen. Gio Scelzi runs as good a pavement line around the top of the track as anybody I've watched here this week. And I think that's going to work to his advantage.
Well, one guy had certainly had this track figured out for a lot of years now. He had a number of second-place finishes before he won his first Knoxville Nationals, and we're talking about Donnie Schatz, the 10-time Knoxville Nationals champion, and he's a player in this race. Got that Ford
For
power,
sure.
and you can't ever count out Donnie Schatz, who finished third on Wednesday night.
Getting qualified tonight, going out that late, was pretty rewarding, I thought. Being able to get through that first heat race. Typically Wednesday, the heat race is always tougher on Wednesday night than it is Thursday night for the track widen out. So to get through that was a blessing. And we have speed. We have to make some changes, obviously, if we're gonna win on Saturday. But I've been coming here a long time, and I think we know a few things that we need to do. And we're in a lot better spot than we've been in the last 12 months. So I'm looking forward to Saturday, and hopefully we can be in a position where we're racing for a win.
Yeah, why not look forward to Saturday? He's looked forward to a lot of Saturdays that come out on the right end for the guy from North Dakota.
Well, anybody knows anything about Donnie Schatz? How many times he won this, Kirk? 10 times?
10 times. One time he won it 5 years in a row.
Yeah.
Kinzer
yeah.
won it 5 years in a row once, back from 91 to 95, but he's got 12 wins.
Kirk, who won the Knoxville Nationals when you were the announcer up here in 75 and 76?
Eddie Levitt won
both years?
Both years. He won in 1975. He won in the R&H Farms Black number 40 car, and I met one of the guys with that car the other night, talked to him. And he finished in the same spot first in 1976 driving the 4J car that Fred Aiden was a big part of. Dwayne Starr was the guy that I talked to the other night that was part of that R&H Farms car back in the day. He's now part of the Speedway Motors Museum of American Speed. Museum. He's part of the museum up there. So I had a nice visit with him. But Eddie Levitt won in two different rides in back-to-back years when I was working up there. And the 4J car that he won in 1976, Fred Aiden was the big wrench on that car. You had Yuri Masato. You had John Singer building the engines that was part of that car. And got fond memories of Eddie Levitt. He was one of my favorite guys. He's no longer with us, of course, but, man, he was good back in those 2 years.
Yeah. Hey, Kirk, what'd you think about Rico last night?
He had it going on, didn't he? I mean, what a great night he had.
He did, man. Fast time. Picks up the win last night.
He probably more than anybody also wanted to see Jack get a qualifying spot because that's they're teammates this year. So he was probably as disappointed as anybody Jack didn't make it in last night. But Rico had he looked about as good as he has all year last night, I thought.
Oh, I did too. And to be honest with you, he's kind of rolling around in the pits with a little bit different mindset, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I can see it in it. He's oozing with confidence, it seems like to me right now.
It seems that way, doesn't it? Maybe getting rid of the mullet did make a difference. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe. Hey, it was good to see Shane Stewart making in last night too. Driving a limited deal, the 71 Indy Parts car. It was good to see him get up on the wheel. He's the promoter now down at Port City. He's not a full-time race car driver anymore, but he shows that he knows his way around this racetrack. Shane Stewart squeaking in by the hair on his chin last night. Made it in by one spot. Brock Zerfoss was the last guy to make it in last night.
That was a deal that was put together. Justin Marks and Trackhouse Racing and Bernie Stubgen, and they put that together. And, Shane is a full-time promoted track operator, Port City Raceway.
I just said that.
But I remember we talked to him back in January about, we didn't think he'd ever drive a car again. But they put this thing together. They don't race at Port City during this time anyway, so that was a pretty good deal they put together.
Yeah. And he said all the people back at Turn 5 at Port City, I don't know if you know what Turn 5 is, Kirk, but that's the bar that overlooks the racetrack. They have a new bar down there at Port City Raceway. And so I think everybody was hanging out there last night watching the races, and Shane made it in. Shane, one of the good guys, always been really nice to myself over the years when we traveled up and down the road, him and Paul Silva. So a little piece of me was rooting for our past two-time Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour champion, Shane Stewart.
And he's just one of them guys easy to root for, Everybody loves Shane Stewart.
Yeah. Don't you got some sound from Brett Marks as well, too?
I do. Third place finisher on Thursday night. Brett Marks, he's been looking pretty good on these big half-mile racetracks, especially at Williams Grove Speedway, where he won the National Open a couple of years ago. He's been, he's been racing around, especially on the big tracks. And he came to Knoxville and had a pretty good finish on Thursday night and a good starting spot for tonight.
Track got really nice there for the feature, and felt like that was more of a track we're going to see on Saturday at some point. So I'm just really proud of what we accomplished tonight, and we feel like we made some big gains, it's just it was a really good night. So just riding around there in second and just trying to close in on Brian there and some lap traffic if we got some, and Kyle just came on shooting right by me, so he was just better than I was on the bottom and in the middle there, and we just have to get to work a little bit more for Saturday.
And Brett Marks will be starting on the outside of road number 2, right alongside 57 of Kyle Larson. So he's got a pretty good shot at it.
Yeah. If Kyle Larson is up towards the front, that doesn't fare well for the rest of the competition, if you want to know the truth.
Right. I would agree with you. He's the man to beat. But, as we've seen, a lot of things can happen. It's not a foregone conclusion. You got to look at it based on what we've seen so far this week. The 57 car is the car to beat. I don't think anybody can doubt that right now. But you get in the 50-lap race, and, it's not one of these things that you can just start and run away and hide, because the track could change a lot. You got that halfway break in between. A lot of things can happen. So who knows?
Yep. Steven Trout said, no hate towards Carson, but boneheaded is boneheaded. That's all. No, I get you. I totally understand. That was that move that he made where he hit that inside berm, Kirk, might have been the worst move I've seen a World of Outlaw driver make in a long time, to be honest with you.
Well, sometimes when you get in a high-stakes deal like this, changes a lot of people's minds a little bit about, the attitudes and behavior changes quite a bit when you throw this kind of prestige and money out there. Sometimes it changes you. We'll see how he reacts to that tonight.
Well, no, you know what I think it is, Kirk, more than anything? I think the pressure on drivers to make the A main up here is so great. This event is so much different than any other event that these drivers go to. This is the world capital of sprint car racing. You're racing across the street from the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum, right? The best of the best. They got 12 previous winning cars downstairs right now. If there's not pressure on you to contend for the win here, where's it going to be? I don't think they put more pressure gets put on a driver than this racetrack right here, anywhere in the country. I mean, maybe there was a little pressure on them when they were at Bristol, right? Because they put the dirt on Bristol. It's a kind of a new thing, whatnot. But this is the world capital of sprint car racing right here. And if you're not geeked up and got a little extra pep in your step and a little extra juice in your body and excitement in your body for this event, don't show up. Because the people that do show up for this, it means everything to them. Even if you're a small funded team, right? And you come in and you win a D main or a C main, as much as that doesn't sound good, you can go back home and say, hey, I won the C main at the Knoxville Nationals. I think that means something because the field is so stacked in every race that rolls out on this racetrack. It doesn't matter if it's a C main or a B main or whatever. Every time one of those C's or D's rolls out on the racetrack, that field is as good as any sprint car race in the country because there's just a large quantity of drivers that are really good in those C mains. I mean, the pressure has got to be tremendous on these guys when they show up here, especially if you're a Kyle Larson or if you're a Brian Brown or if you're a Carson Macedo or somebody of that caliber of driver, you know, where you know that you're really good, but you feel that added pressure from people looking at you like, hey, man, I know I'm one of those guys that everybody's talking about. You've got to beat. That has to put a tremendous amount of pressure on you. Wouldn't you think, Kurt?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I can't think of another event in the world where the alphabet soup winners, you know, the E, D, C, B mains are noteworthy in the history books because when they go to write about tonight, they'll list who all of the other race winners were. And that I can't think of any other event in the world where that is noted in historical fashion more than what tonight is at Knoxville. Not just who wins tonight's big prize, but who wins the other races as well. That becomes a big day. I've got a soundbite here from Brian Brown, followed by Kyle Larson about what Knoxville means to them. This gives you a pretty good example of just what these drivers are thinking about and how they look at the Knoxville Nationals. Here's Brian Brown, followed by Kyle Larson.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I feel like this event, these guys are from different parts of the country. I feel like this event probably means more to me than most any driver in the pit area just because of what it is. I came here as a kid with Danny. Been here since I've been 2 years old, probably maybe even younger than that, coming to this event, seeing what it is and seeing it grow. So it means a lot to me just in my heart. This is my favorite week of the year. As a fan, I'm just lucky enough at 6 o'clock I get to go drive too. So it is, for those that never have came, it's the Daytona Super Bowl, it's the Indy 500, it's everything to us. And I think it means that because what this guy said. This guy could care less about winning what he does on Sunday. On his bucket list, number one in my opinion, Kyle's number one bucket list race is the Knoxville Nationals. I mean, me and Kyle are great friends, and we have some conversations, and it would mean a lot to him too, as well as Brent. But I feel like it means a lot to me just in general because I came here for a long time. The lady singing the national anthem, I remember her singing that as a kid. The flagman, just everything in general. I know these people; these are my family, and to be able to come here and run well means a lot to me. And to win this race would be an absolute dream come true.
I know I'm from California, but I mean I can echo everything that Brian's saying. This is such a big event, and I've probably come here almost as many times as a fan as I have to race, and I've had just as much fun sitting in the stands watching as I do racing, just because this event is so big and the atmosphere is so amazing, and you get to see all your friends, a lot of your family, your friends who are like your family, like you mentioned, and there's just so much history around this event. It seems to grow each each and every year into something bigger. And I'd love to add my name to the winners list. You walk down the midway here and see all the banners hanging on the pillars. I want to see my face on there someday. So just a huge event, and I'm glad I get to compete in it here and there.
Yeah, that explains right there how big this would be for Kyle Larson if he were to pull this off tonight, and Brian too.
Well, let's face it, Kirk, could be anybody. I mean, this race is the number one race if you're a 410 racer, period. No disrespect to any other race that runs around the country. But that's why we've got 5 campgrounds completely stuffed full of RVs. That's why the Dingus is packed from wall to wall every night. I mean, they say this town grows 3 times its size when the Knoxville Nationals is taking place. The amount of people that come to this racetrack is second to none to anything, with the exception of maybe the Boone Nationals, right? The Boone Nationals for sheet metal would be about equivalent to this. Would you think, Kurt?
Well, I don't know about that. It's in a different way.
I mean, not in terms of the magnitude of the event, but for sheet metal racers, for people that run stock cars, 305 sprints, I keep forgetting about those guys. The Boone Nationals is a pretty big deal. They got 400 or 500 cars there, right? I mean, that's a monster event. Boone
Nationals. In the IMCA world, it's huge. No doubt about it. But
it's not just IMCA, it's stock cars.
Right.
305 sprints and B mods and E mods and A mods. I mean, they're all there. Right?
But outside of the Chili Bowl, the Knoxville Nationals is it's the big one. And to me, those 2 events are stand above.
In open wheel racing, those are the 2 big.
No doubt about it. And here you have Kyle Larson, who won back-to-back Chili Bowls. And then in his Cup car, what he's doing there, he won the Coke 600, which is one of the major races in all of NASCAR. And if he were to win the Knoxville Nationals and do that all in the same year, that'd be absolutely incredible. So, I mean, it can happen, but you heard it in Kyle Larson's voice there, how big this would be for him to win this race. I mean,
he wants to see his face on one of those pillars out there out front. That's what he wants.
That's important to him. And you got to wonder, okay, everybody's picking Kyle Larson to win along with Chase Elliott at Indianapolis on the road course on Sunday. You got to wonder, should Kyle Larson win tonight, how tuned in is he going to be tomorrow afternoon to race on the road course at Indy? Is he going to really be at the top of his game after celebrating half the night and winning the Knoxville Nationals? I don't know. I'm not picking Kyle Larson to win tomorrow because of that.
Kurt, do you remember when he ran second here at Knoxville and he went and won Michigan the next day?
Right, but he didn't win Knoxville. That's the point I'm trying to make.
He ran second.
He ran second. But if he wins tonight, the celebration is going to be enormous. And how quickly is he going to get back to Indianapolis and get clued in after winning a big race like this? And how much is his mind is going to be on tomorrow's race if he wins tonight?
Is the question, Kirk, how much is he going to celebrate if he wins?
Yeah, he's going to celebrate a lot. I would if I were him. This is huge to him.
No, I don't think so. I think he'll do his victory lane stuff. I think he'll get in a plane right down the street here off of 14. And I think he'll fly to Indy and get him a good night's sleep. Sleep in a little bit later than maybe normal. Wake up before driver introductions and do his thing. And I would not be surprised if he won that race tomorrow.
Wouldn't that be something? You go to Knoxville one night and Indianapolis Motor Speedway the next. And then if he could top that off, he's entered in the BC 39 next week on the dirt track at Indy. How about that as a trifecta? If he were to win tonight and then win tomorrow and then the BC 39 next week, that'd be
Kirk,
that'd be a heck of a run, wouldn't it?
I'm off next week. I might run to Indy and watch the BC 39.
That'll be a great one.
That would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, he could do it. That's the thing we're talking about. He could pull all of that off.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be something unlike we've never seen in racing. I mean, it's what this guy is doing right now. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
In case you just joined us, we had some sad news this past week. Bob Jenkins, who I thought, Scott, he was really my favorite play-by-play guy in
a true
racing.
Professional.
Yeah,
a true professional.
And he was a great guy too. If you've ever met him, he was just a humble guy, and I've met him a couple of times, and he was just who he was. If you saw him on the air, he's always likable. I never heard anybody say anything bad about the guy. I mean, he was just tremendously well liked, and that team that he was with, Benny Parsons and Ned Jarrett in the ESPN booth, does it get any better than those guys when they were at the prime? I don't think so.
Ned and Jenkins and Parsons were together.
Yeah.
It was the best threesome in the booth of all time, in my eyes.
No question about it.
Yeah.
And they did it for a long time together. And, you know, we don't have Benny anymore. You knew Benny pretty well. And Benny and Bob were best of friends.
I would like to think that I could call Benny Parsons. He was a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He told you not to wear a hat one time. That's why you don't wear a hat anymore.
I don't wear I'm going to have to start wearing a hat because I'm starting to get sores on the top of my head.
When you're out in the sun, you got to put one on. But
I got to start wearing a hat. I got to start doing that.
But Benny and Bob were the best of friends.
Benny Parsons, one time, I walked up to do an interview with him, and I had a hat on. And Benny looked at me and said, "Scott, why are you wearing that hat?" I said, "Well, it's hot out, Benny, and I'm sweating." He says, "Don't you know you're never supposed to wear a hat on television?" He said, "Do you ever see me wear a hat on television?" I said, "Nope, never have." He says, "There's a reason for that." So I took that hat off. And that was about the same time I shaved my head too, Kurt.
That was about that time.
It was about the same time I took whatever hair grew on top of my head and I shaved it off and became a what do you call this haircut I have here? I don't know what they call it. What do they call that, Todd? Horseshoe.
That iconic Scott Traylor look.
The horseshoe. Anyway, long story short, but Bob Jenkins, listen, you know what my favorite thing that Bob Jenkins said? He's a race fan that just got lucky.
Yeah. And he was a race fan.
Oh, absolutely. And worked at the highest level. Worked his way up through IndyCar and all the way up into NASCAR and did everything. I don't know what his favorite was, what favorite form of motorsports it was, but it was sure sad to hear that he passed away this week.
He loved all kinds of racing. Indianapolis was special to him.
Yeah. And we lost somebody on the local level too, Kurt.
We did. Carla Lane was I don't know how you can replace this woman. What she has done, the Carb Hall of Fame, and, you know, we've been involved with that, you know, set to MC this thing coming up on October the 2nd, but she was always there and ready to do whatever was needed.
Hard work.
And it was never about her. It was always about the Hall of Fame and what the best interests were of the Hall of Fame. That's what it was with Carla, and she unselfishly did whatever it took to make it all happen. And how you replace somebody like that, you can't. You just can't. And not only that, but she was a great racing wife. Bobby Lane is probably, I would think you would agree, Scott, is one of the great race car drivers that we've ever seen come out of Kansas City.
Yeah, for sure.
Carla right there every step of the way. But whatever she could do for anybody when it comes to promoting racing, she was always there to do it. And, man, she will be missed. There's just no doubt about it. And it was
a great loss to the Hall of Fame, for sure.
It was shocking to hear about that because it was so sudden that we lost. I got the call from Karen Darling on Thursday, and it was just a stunner, you know, when you hear news like that. But we're going to celebrate Carla Lane's life on Tuesday morning, this coming Tuesday, August 17th. The Elmwood Chapel at 4900 Truman Road in Kansas City, Missouri. This station is at 10 a.m. with services to follow. In lieu of flowers, the family asks that you send your contribution to the Central Auto Racing Boosters Hall of Fame and Museum. Attention, Karen Darling. I'll give you the address. 1811 Lynn Avenue, Marshall, Missouri, 65340-3241. Again, that's attention, Karen Darling. 1811 Lynn Avenue, Marshall, Missouri, 65340-3241. If you want to contribute to the Central Auto Racing Boosters
Kirk, we
Hall of
could
Fame.
put that up on our homepage so people could find that information as well, couldn't we?
Get that up there. So anyway, it's
Bobby,
very,
we're
very
thinking about
sad.
you, buddy. Bobby, we're thinking about you, and I know that's going to be a tough one to get over. Also, I want to give another shout out to my love of my life, Deidre. Her Aunt June passed away from COVID.
Oh man!
On the same day that Carla passed away.
And that's you've known about 3 people that
I've known several
passed to
people
COVID.
that passed away
Wow.
from COVID for sure.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Be careful out there, everybody. Goodness.
Yeah. That's all we can say. Listen, we're not preaching to anybody what they should do, right? That's not our business. You do what you want to do. If you want to get a shot, you get a shot. If you don't, that's your business. It's up to you. It's your choice. We're not telling you what to do, but I've got mine. Kirk got his. Todd got his. Adam got his. Deidre got hers. But, we're out amongst the people. We feel like that we had to do that. And let's face it, I had family members that wouldn't see me because of my job. So if I wanted to see some of my family members, I had to do it. And those are the choices I made.
We all have not seen family members as much as we want.
It's all a matter of choice.
Yeah. Well,
I don't hold it against anybody if they don't want to get it. They want to believe everything that's going on out there about these shots. That's fine. Whatever. But I'm doing it. I'm taking mine.
just be safe, everybody. That's all we ask.
Yeah.
So anyway, that is it. Big late model race this weekend. We got the North-South 100 at the Florence Speedway in Union, Kentucky. That's not too far south of Indianapolis, down there in late model country. And that's one of the big crown jewel races of the year. Watched some of the heat races last night. They got a late start because of a rain delay at Florence Speedway. But when it's all said and done, Tim McCready grabbed the pole position for tonight's big 100-lap race. And he'll start alongside Michael Chilton, who made a late run through his second heat race to grab that outside front row starting spot. Brandon Overton, Hudson O'Neal in row 2. Hudson O'Neal won the Show Me 100 earlier this year at Lucas Oil Speedway, so he'll start fourth. Darrell Lanigan and Kyle Bronson on row 3. Josh Rice and Mike Marlar on row 4. Jonathan Davenport and Zach Dome on the 5th row. Row 6, Tyler Erb and Jimmy Owens, Greg Satterley and Kyle Strickler on row 7, and Terry Phillips and Earl Pearson Jr. on row 8. And Terry Phillips, by the way, Scott, was inducted into the Dirt Hall of Fame down in Kentucky yesterday. How about that?
National Dirt Late Model Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah, that's well-deserved.
When is Larry going to get into the NASCAR Hall of Fame?
It should be quickly, but I always question whether that's
I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, he deserves in there.
Listen, I don't think NASCAR was a big fan of Larry Phillips.
No, they were. A lot of people, we know this because we experienced Larry Phillips's run through all those national championships back in the day. And a lot of people...
They did everything they could, Kirk.
A lot of people don't understand that NASCAR didn't really like Larry Phillips doing all that. So
listen, because Larry was an innovator, and he did things that nobody else did. What year was it he went undefeated at I-70, Kirk?
1992. He went undefeated at Lakeside Speedway. I think that same year he lost one race at I-70. But in 1992, Larry Phillips was 16 for 16. Never seen that before or will again, ever. A late model, any kind of a racer going undefeated at one racetrack. But he did.
Oh, I think you'll see it again for sure.
Maybe not in our lifetime.
Yeah, possible.
Who could do that? Of course, he had tricks up his sleeves to make sure that happened. He'd bring a second car to the racetrack, and sometimes he needed a yellow. And if he needed a yellow, he'd get one.
Well, I'd tell you this, Kirk, back in the day, John O'Neill Jr., when he drove his modified, was nearly as dominating as Larry Phillips was in that late model at Lakeside 970. There was a time when John O'Neill Jr. would just annihilate everybody in the modified.
Yeah.
I don't think you remember those days. It was a little before your time coming to Kansas City.
Heard about it. Heard about it.
But that car he had was so fast that there was a couple people, myself included, that claimed him because we knew he wasn't going to give up anything on his motor. And that cost him the championship. And to be honest with you, I wish I wouldn't have done that. I was coaxed into doing that by another team.
What team was that?
Oh, I guess I could say it now. A.J. Cooper and J.L. Cooper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember those guys.
Mm-hmm. At the time, I was driving J.L.'s old car. I'd purchased his modified from him that he drove in 1989. I drove it in 90 and 91. And I purchased it from J.L. Cooper, and they helped me with that car quite a bit and let me work out of their shop with it and help me get it all scaled up. And whenever I needed help, they were always there for me. And so I felt like, they asked me to do this, and I said, okay, I'll do whatever you want. I was very loyal to J.L. J.L. Cooper, one of my favorite old-timers of all time. One of the guys that drove for Pappy Weld, drove some of their old stuff. J.L. Cooper was the guy that always got the hand-me-down stuff from the Welds. And was a great friend of mine back in the day. So haven't seen him in a while. Would love to. But J.L. Cooper, one of the best.
Hey, we had a wild night down at Central Missouri Speedway last Saturday night.
Oh, boy.
Dennis Elliott was the benefactor of all of that. These guys pulling slide jobs against one another. But on the last restart, when guys were fighting with each other, Dennis Elliott shot down towards the middle and grabbed the lead coming off the fourth turn to the checkered flag and won his third feature down there. But after the race, some drivers got disqualified. Dalton Kirk, Tim Carrick, Matt Johnson, and Kevin Blackburn were all DQ'd. And in the race story, they referred to page 4 of the rule book that explains the negative conduct point system that they have down at Central Missouri Speedway. And let me just give you a quick overview. Negative conduct point system will be used to help drivers, crews, and CMS to conduct the race in a positive and professional manner. And so if you violate this negative conduct policy and you're assessed 10 points, that will disqualify the driver and related car of his points and purse monies for the night. Well, when Matt Johnson and Kevin Blackburn were sliding each other and, it didn't turn out well.
Hold on. The way I understand it is Blackburn was leading, and who was the other driver?
Matt Johnson.
Matt Johnson went in there and took off the left front, from what I understood. Yeah. Kind of a pretty heavy contact.
Heavy contact.
Yes.
Didn't turn out well for either one of them.
No.
But anyway, they had a discussion about it afterwards, or whatever happened in the pit area.
Let's just face it. Earl's going to run his shit the way he wants to run it, right?
Right.
That's just the way Earl operates, right? And you're not going to change Earl's mind. If Earl thinks you've done something, you know what? I'm a little surprised by. I was a little surprised that he DQ'd Tim Carrick. I don't know what happened with Tim. I don't know why he did that.
Well, I don't either. Dalton Kirk, I'm not sure what his involvement was either. But those two guys maybe had something go on. I don't know. But those are the other two drivers that were DQ'd.
I mean, listen, let's face it. Earl, Tim Carrick is one of Earl's boys.
Yeah.
And Tim Carrick has been very loyal to Earl Walls over the years. Nothing wrong with that at all, man. I appreciate his loyalty. But the fact is that Tim Carrick is known as one of Earl's guys, right?
Right.
So I was a little shocked to hear that he got DQ'd.
Hey, there's one interesting thing. I was reading page 4 of the rules book that was referred to in the story. The only thing in bold letters, you'll find this interesting, Scott. Number 6, if a driver states in person to any CMS official that, quote, I will not be back, unquote, or a similar statement, CMS will hold the driver accountable for his or her statement and will immediately assess a 15 negative conduct points penalty to the driver, and he or she will not be permitted to return to CMS for the remainder of the season. So you don't go to Earl or anybody else at CMS and say, I will not be back, because you won't be back if you say that. So I found that interesting. So we'll see what happens tonight down there at CMS.
Listen, CMS, that's the house that Earl built, right? You're going to do things the way Earl wants them, right. And that's just a fact.
Any fan that attended last...
Hey, hold on. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong.
Right.
You're going to do it Earl's way.
No doubt. No question about it.
Listen, is there something wrong with that?
No, I don't have a problem. Hey, Earl doesn't care who wins down there. He really doesn't.
Listen, there has to be somebody to make the tough decisions.
He's not afraid to make the tough decisions.
And there's somebody's got to rule the racetrack with an iron thumb, right? Iron claw. Earl is about as good as anybody at doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know anybody else that rules the nest like the way Earl does.
It's his racetrack. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. Hey, I'll tell you this, Scott. Anybody who attended that race last week, any race fan that was there, they're sure coming back tonight. I wouldn't miss it. If I were if I'm a regular fan of CMS, I'm not missing tonight after what happened last week. Great finish, an exciting finish, and then all the stuff that happened around that. That's that's how you draw fans, right, Scott?
That's it, man. Controversy.
Hey, one of your national tour regulars paid a visit out to Sweetwater Speedway last night, and in his first ever visit, wins the feature event, and he is Colby Thornhill, who won the Frontier Region feature at Sweetwater Speedway last night. Number 19 car. Looked pretty good doing it, too. He's going to do it again tonight because they got...
That was a 360 race?
2, right. The Brodix ASCS Frontier Region. We had it live on Racing Boys last night. We're going to do it again tonight.
That explains a little bit of it.
So we got that going on this weekend. That's our live broadcast for this weekend. So Colby Thornhill was the big man in action last night. His first ever visit to that racetrack, and he wins.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations to him. All right, Kirk, it came right down to it. Now, who's your final pick for tonight?
Why not? It's easy to pick Kyle Larson, and I still think he's the man to beat, but I'm going with Gio Scelzi. How about that? I'm picking Gio to win.
Well, I'm like you. I think Larson's going to win it, but I'm going to pick Brian Brown.
There you go. How about that? How big would that be?
That would be big.
Knock that out tomorrow night or
That'd
tonight.
Be huge. He looked really fast. He was good on his restarts. He was able to gap everybody. He could run the top as good as anybody around here the other night. And I think that's where you're going to have to roll it around here. I mean, it might get down to the bottom before it's all said and done. But Brownie, he's got one of the best bottom feeder guys as his crew chief, Danny Lasowski. He's given him a lot of great advice on how to roll the bottom a little bit better than he has in years past. So I think that Brian Brown's got a really good chance. I mean, listen, he outrun Kyle Larson the other night, didn't he?
Yeah.
Kyle Larson restarted second. Brian Brown beat him.
He beat him. There's no question about it. And, I stood down there by the 21 car for a little while the other night and just kind of watched what was going on, watching Danny and with all the crew and everything. Danny Lasowski brings a presence about that whole situation down there that is palpable. I mean, you just stand and watch Danny and just the confidence that he infuses in that whole situation. Where Danny's won this race 4 times as a driver. But you look at that whole situation, what Danny has brought in, and it's made Brian a much better driver. It's put him up. It's really challenged Brian to have Danny down there.
Kirk, from what I heard the other night on the PA, between Danny and Brian, they've won 167 features here at this racetrack.
Yeah, how about that? Wow.
What kind of combination is that right there?
But
just think about that for a second.
There is no question Danny Lasowski has brought a spark to that team that I don't even know. Maybe if he even surprised Brian a little bit. But it sure made a heck of a difference since he's come on board. No doubt about it.
It really has. All right, Kirk. Well, that's about it. You got anything else you want to get in before we get out of here?
Nope. Other than we've got the live broadcast tonight about 8 o'clock our time from Sweetwater Speedway, night 2 of the ASCS Brodix Frontier region. So tune in for that. Of course, we'll be watching the racing up Knoxville and Florence, Kentucky tonight. And, you know, that's the 2 big races tonight. So it's going to be a fun night. This race at Knoxville, Scott, this almost makes the hair stand up on the back of your neck when they come down for the 4 wide on that race tonight, don't you think? And it's sold out. There's no tickets left up at Knoxville. They sold the place completely out tonight.
Yeah. How about that? That's good, too. All right, folks. Well, thanks for tuning in to the show today. We want to thank our guest, Alan Reinhardt, as well as Bob Baker, for joining us on the show. Again, and all the sound that we had from David Gravel, Gio Scelzi, Donnie Schatz, Ryan Brown, Kyle Larson, Brett Marks, and also our thoughts are still out to Bobby Lane with the passing of his wife, and Deidre and the passing of her aunt, and Bob Jenkins as well. Tough week for us here at Racing Boys, but we'll all get through it because that's what we do here in America. So. Appreciate everybody tuning in to the show. For Kirk Elliott, and our producers, Todd Surprise, Adam Bartman, I'm Scott Traylor saying thanks for joining us on the show. We'll do it all over again next week. We hope that you'll join us right here on Lucas Oil Products Track Talk. Again, made in America, sold to the world. We'll see you next week.